I'm glad to be with you today. Welcome to the city. There's a lot going on here, and I can't wait for you to see who Joe Miller, our reporter on the go, is going to visit today. Hey, but wait, I hear the fun bus with our game. It's City Sounds. Who's ready to play? Okay, everyone get quiet and listen, then holler out when you know the answer. Well, that was an easy one. Yes, a dog. Now, how about this one? It's a little harder. Did you guess a construction site? Good. Let's try this last one. Did you get it? That was the doors on our fun bus closing up for today. You hear that sound a lot in the city. Well, we've been talking to people who do a lot of different things here, and they've been telling us how they use God's everyday armor to help them in their work. Remember, we talked to Allison at her bakery, and she reminded us how she uses the belt of truth so that she can separate what God says is true from the lies of the devil, and we can stand strong against them. We talked to Carter at the skateboard park, and he said he uses the armor of godliness that protects his heart and helps him have the power to do the right thing when people were saying and doing mean things. And last week, we talked to Coach, who shared how the Good News boots gave him courage to talk about Jesus with the kids on his team, and how they all found the strength to help people. So let's see who Joe is going to meet today. Let's tune in.
Hey everyone, it's Joe on the Go, and I'm Joe Miller, coming to you live each and every day as I take to the streets to give you all the deets. Today is going to be so great. We're meeting up with Sam, a real-world lifesaver. Oh, that sound can only mean one thing. Sam's here. Come on. Hey Sam, thanks for hanging out with us today.
Hey Joe, it's so great to be on your show. I love Joe on the Go.
Well, now Sam here is an EMT, which is seriously the coolest. Hey, why don't you tell everyone what exactly it is you do?
So EMT stands for Emergency Medical Technician. My job is basically to be ready at any moment to handle a medical emergency. Like if someone got hurt and called for help, I jump in the ambulance and get there as fast as possible.
Amazing. Okay, so let's talk about this sweet ride that you have. There is so much stuff going on in there. Can you give us a little tour?
Sure, the back of the ambulance is where patients go to be treated while en route to the hospital. They most likely be loaded in on a stretcher, which is when we would figure out how to help them the best way possible. We have tons of important equipment, like heart monitors for EKGs, but also simple things like Band-Aids.
So your job is to come to work and be ready to save lives each and every day. Wow, that actually sounds like a lot of pressure.
It really can be. Each day is so different from the next, and you never really know what to expect. Sometimes it can be really scary.
I bet. So when you're driving up on a call and feeling tons of uncertainty, because you don't know what's about to happen and everything, what keeps you calm and confident during it all?
Well, there is one huge thing that helps. That's the shield of faith.
Oh, I should have known. That's one of the parts of the armor of God.
That's right. The shield of faith helps us trust God's promises and block out any lies or tricks that the enemy tries to send our way. I have so much more confidence when I hold it up.
I bet. Well, tell us more about how our faith can be such a strong shield.
Faith gives us confidence in God even when we can't see what He's doing. It also protects us from our own fears. You see, the enemy wants us to second guess our abilities and doubt who God has created us to be. But with the shield of faith, we can defend ourselves.
So when a super tough emergency comes your way, it might be easy to believe it's too hard for you or that you won't be able to make a difference. But that's when you hold up the shield of faith, right?
You got it. God created me and gave me gifts to help people. But if I lose sight of that and give up, then I've lost the battle.
But that won't happen with the shield of faith. That is seriously so awesome. Sam, thank you so much for hanging out with us today and for giving us the inside scoop. Oh, Hey, maybe when you're done, you could show me how to turn on the siren, like a real pro.
No problem, Joe. I'll meet you up front and show you more of the ambulance.
Oh, awesome! Well, that's it for us today. Join us next time for Joe on the Go. I can't wait to see who we will meet next.
Wow, Sam does some amazing, important work, doesn't he? He told us how the shield of faith helps him to trust God's promises. We can use the shield of faith to block anything the enemy sends our way. Sam told us that he isn't always sure what's going to happen each day, but having God's shield of faith helps him to trust that God is with him in every situation. We won't always see what God is doing, but we can be sure that He's always working things together for the good of those who love Him. Hey, that's us! Romans 8:28 says that very thing. We know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him, who've been called according to His purpose. The enemy may try to trick us into doing the wrong things or tell us lies, like God has forgotten us. But holding up the shield of faith helps us block the enemy's tricks and trust God's promises. God promises to always love us and never forget us. I love the shield of faith. Hey, let's say our need to know today. I'll be holding up my shield here. Put on the shield of faith. Say it with me. Put on the shield of faith. Again. Put on the shield of faith. Hey, let's put on all of God's armor as we sing our song together.
Put on the full armor of God, stand strong against the evil one. Put on the full armor of God, the full armor of God. First things first, got the belt of truth. Ayo, ayo. Put on my boots, gotta tell the good news. Ayo, ayo. The armor of God and the shield of faith. Got my sword and my helmet, now it's time to pray. Ayo, ayo. Put on the full armor of God, stand strong against the evil one. Put on the full armor of God, the full armor of God. First things first, you got the belt of truth. Ayo, ayo. Put on my boots, I gotta tell the good news. Ayo, ayo. The armor of God and the shield of faith. Ayo, ayo. Got my sword and my helmet, now it's time to pray. Ayo, ayo. Put on the full armor of God, stand strong against the evil one. Put on the full armor of God, the full armor of God. Put on the full armor of God, stand strong against the evil one. Put on the full armor of God, the full armor of God. Now in faith we can stand against every evil plan. Now it's time to be strong. He has won. Put on the full armor of God, stand strong against the evil one. Put on the full armor of God, the full armor of God. Put on the full armor of God, stand strong against the evil one. Put on the full armor of God, the full armor of God.
Great singing. Now take a seat. We need each piece of God's armor every single day, don't we? Let's check out the Bible story about why we need to hold up the shield of faith.
Even though you can't see it, there's a spiritual battle taking place between God and the devil over the hearts of each person on earth. Since the beginning of time, God has been fighting for people to know who He is and how much He loves them. You would think that followers of Jesus would never doubt that Jesus could do anything, but that's actually a part of the battle. Jesus healed many people and showed them many examples of God's power. One evening, Jesus asked his followers to go with him across the lake. So they left the crowds of people they'd been helping and went with Jesus. As they were on the water, the winds grew stronger and the waves started coming up over the sides of the boat, filling it with water. When Jesus was inside the boat, sleeping with his head on a pillow, his followers came to find him. They woke him up and asked Jesus if he even cared about them. They were afraid he was going to let them drown. Jesus got up and gave a command to the wind and the water. He told the storm to be still. Immediately, the wind stopped and the lake became calm. Jesus asked his followers why they had been so afraid and wanted to know why they didn't have any faith. They didn't really say, but they did talk about how the wind and the waves obeyed Jesus that day. Jesus came to earth to show us that we can believe and trust in all of God's promises, like God's promise that He's in control of everything, even the wind and the waves, or about how He will watch over us and give us everything we need, and He'll forgive us and always love us. The devil doesn't want us to have faith in God, though, so he tries to throw lies and tricks at us to get us to stop believing in what God says. That's why God has given us the shield of faith. When we trust in every word God says to us, we'll be able to block anything the devil tries to send our way. We can hold up the shield of faith.
That story helps us understand that it won't always be easy to believe what God says. Sometimes it may seem like our lives are spinning out of control. Have you ever had a time like that in your life? We may be tempted to doubt that God is with us, but when we rely on God's power by holding up the shield of faith, we'll be able to stand firm and trust that God always comes through on the promises He makes. Now, here's a story of someone who has learned to put on God's armor in real life. Her name is Abby.
Abby is a kid, just like you. In this picture, you can see she's being bullied. Abby tries really hard to get along with everyone she meets. But earlier this week, some of the girls in Abby's class teased her for inviting others to church. Abby holds up the shield of faith so that she can remember all that God promises her. Like how God says He'll always love, protect, and take care of His children. And because Abby follows Jesus, all of that is true for her. When Abby is being bullied, she holds up the shield of faith, and it helps her know that no matter what mean things others say about her, she can trust God to take care of her. When we put His full armor on, the enemy doesn't stand a chance. Okay, now we're going to put on God's armor together. Here, check this out.
Every day, I will wear the full armor of God. I put on the belt of truth so I can fight the devil's lies. I put on the armor of godliness to protect my heart and do what's right. I put on the good news boots so I'll be ready to show God's love all day. I hold up the shield of faith to block anything the enemy sends my way. I put on the helmet of salvation so I'll remember God will always love me. I use the sword of the Spirit because God's word is my best weapon against the enemy. Now, I stand firm and pray.
Now that you've put on the armor, let's practice our verse together.
Put on all of God's armor. Then you can remain strong against the devil's evil plans. Ephesians 6:11.
I hope you've been practicing the verse during the week, friends. I'll be sending out prizes to you, so get ready to send me a video in a few weeks of you saying the verse. That'll be fun. Hey, let me pray for you now. Dear God, thank you for your armor that protects us and gives us power and helps us share the good news about Jesus with everyone we meet. Help us to use your armor to love and serve others and to live for Jesus every day. In His name we pray. Hey, I'm getting ready for the bus to come. I baked some cookies to bring down to the fire station to thank all the workers for the amazing job they're doing to take care of people. Oh, I hear the bus. I gotta go. See you next week. Bye.